So good morning, everybody. This is Senate Agricultural Committee meeting on Tuesday, May 16th, I believe. And we're going to be going over an amendment sent back to us from the House on H 434. We have Michael O'Grady with us, and to go through the amendment. And I pulled up 434 on my other screen, and maybe Michael, you could tell us where their proposed amendment is going to go, and then go through the amendment.
Sure. So this is, well, let's step back. You made a proposal of amendment to the House based on what they passed over to you for H434. They concurred with all of your proposed amendments, except that in the transfer of the seed review authority to the Agriculture Innovation Board, there was a provision that said prior to the sale or distribution of new genetically engineered seed in the state, the seed review committee had to approve the sale, distribution, or use of that new genetically engineered seed. There was a request that be changed to advisory authority and not an on-off switch authority. It was partly what Senator Parent floated in your committee when the seed review authority was transferred to the Ag Innovation Board. And so that is basically what they are requesting, that a change in the Senate proposal of amendment. Do you have the Senate proposal of amendment in front of you, Senator Starr?
Yes.
It's on page 5. It's subsection 4964D, and it has that subtitle of seed review. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's a.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah. Yes.
And so what the House is proposing is to remove that subsection D in your Senate proposal of amendment and replace it with what Representative Terry Norris and the House proposed in a further in the concurrence with further proposal last week. And it would now say the Ag Innovation Board shall advise the Secretary regarding the sale, distribution, or use of genetically engineered seed in the state, and may recommend to the Secretary limits or conditions on the sale, distribution, or use of a genetically engineered seed or seeds, or recommend a limited period of time for sale of a genetically engineered seed or seeds. And so it's advisory and under what the House is proposing. And what you had proposed, you had took the existing seed review panel's authority with that prior to sale, distribution, or use in the state of a new genetically engineered seed, the Ag Innovation Board shall approve the sale, distribution, and use of the seed. So the argument is that the Secretary should be the one that is responsible and accountable for the exercise of the regulatory authority of the agency, and that the seed review panel, or in this case now the Ag Innovation Board, shouldn't have kind of an on-off regulatory check over the Secretary's powers. They should be advising the Secretary and not limiting the Secretary's authority.
Yeah.
And so that was the argument.
Well, I mean, the buck stops with the Secretary, that's for sure, and he should be accountable. But the board can still recommend and suggest and strongly recommend if so desired, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Chris?
Two questions. Did Carrie or the agency ask for this?
It was not Carrie that asked for it, but the committee consulted with the agency, and Carrie said that they, I think Carrie actually used the buck stops here phrase, and said that they support this change to advisory authority.
And if they made a recommendation that the secretary ignored, that would be public, right? That whole meeting, that whole process would be public?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't see it as, I mean, it's different than what we had, but I think that you got to give the secretary an opportunity, and if we find that he's not listening to the board, which we have gone way out of our way to set up to try to do a better job at handling pesticides and land application nutrients, that we can change it pretty quick. Other comments, Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wonder whether Michael could tell us whether there's any other situation where a secretary, in essence, can be overruled or takes orders from another board or commission or something like that. It doesn't feel like that happens normally to me.
There are a couple of places in statute, and they're going away. One was the chemicals of high concern to children and children's products, and there was a working group that needed to approve or disapprove the Commissioner of Health's authority to adopt a rule. And that, to my recollection, was removed. The other one that I am aware of is in the treated article authority that you just switched from BPAC to the Ag Innovation Board. Because the whole universe of treated articles is so broad, from telephone pole to your sneakers to a shirt to you had wanted to have some check on that authority. And so before the secretary can exercise authority for treated articles, the Ag Innovation Board needs to determine that the product is harmful or deleterious to persons or the environment. So it's a finding has to be made before the secretary can exercise her authority. So it's very similar, but not quite the same. It is a bit of a regulatory check on the secretary. The secretary can't just start regulating sneakers or t-shirts because they have some sort of pesticide in them. The board has to find that there's a deleterious effect to human health or the environment.
Okay, well, to me, this rightly belongs with the secretary of the agency, I think. And so I would support the House proposal of amendment.
Well, I think until the secretary, whoever it may be, screws up and approves something that's really bad, which I don't believe that we found that to be so with our present secretary. I would think that that was an appropriate change and suggestion, and if the committee feels comfortable giving the secretary a try at it, we could accept that and have it over with. And I think this is our last bill, and I still think I'm forgetting something, but I won't have a chance to go to a committee or conference to figure it out. But I think we're in pretty good shape. Any other comments? No. Somebody want to move to accept these House's proposal of amendment and send it back? Brian,
So moved.
second.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and those opposed, the same. So the motion's carried, and we'll, who reported on this bill? Brian?
Yep.
So you want to move that on the floor that we've agreed with the House proposal of amendment?
I will.
It's too bad we aren't gonna have any fights at the end. That's no fun.
There's no bill that we're going to need to conference on, huh?
Smooth.
No, you found any, Michael?
No, I was just gonna say you did a lot of work this year with the food in schools and ag tourism and the chicken and composting and ag innovation board and miscellaneous ag bill. It was, I think the agency is kind of happy with how everything went.
Yeah, and that's not good.
Yeah, right.
And plus you got the ag tourism limited
Well,
liability provision.
We got the ecosystems
Yeah.
going good, and that, I think that's a really important issue that we got done and moving in the right direction. And I think Brian Kemp was on the news this morning talking a little bit about the ecosystems and, the soil health and all that good stuff. Well, usually we work right up until the last day of the session, so we've done something wrong to get it done ahead of session. No, I think we really had a good productive year, and every vote was pretty strong. 5-0, and of course I think that's really important when we're lucky we've got a split committee on membership, and the minority members have been part of the whole discussion, and I think that's really important. When I was over in the House, I never, in all the years I was there and chaired ag, I never had a majority of majority party on the committee. It was usually 6-5, even sometimes 7-4, with Republicans in the majority, and we still, we kept working on bills until we could get them done and done good, and always had good votes over there as well. So I really appreciate, the work of the committee as a whole, working together and understanding each other's points of view, and coming to a conclusion at the end that was really the best for the people of the state. Yeah, Corey?
Chris, could you give me an update on H88? I know you guys were talking about Friday.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be on notice today still, but it doesn't look like we'll see it for a bit.
No, I think it's fine. We're all drowning in broadband, and we popped out of that, and it was the first thing we talked about. And then people just had a few questions. But it was sort of one of those things where committee was like, oh, well, we'll get the answer and then we'll vote on it. So it's don't read into it. It's, and hopefully we don't stymie ourselves on the other side, but, I would guess we'll vote on it today or tomorrow. I
Okay.
haven't looked at my agenda for the afternoon, but
I've been holding off putting my report together, but now I'm like, I was working on it yesterday, and then I was looking at notice counter. I go, it's not even on there yet. So-
if I'm being totally honest, when a bill comes through that has the odor of Senator Starr, there tends to be some delay as people understand whether or not they're getting completely shafted. And they don't believe me. Mr. Chair, you've tainted my sterling reputation.
Well, I've always told, and I've always been very open with this. If I've got a bill rolling through, it'll gonna pass one way or another. So hang on if you want to be miserable about it. Well, I can play that game too. And so anyways, yeah, S88's a pretty simple, straightforward bill that actually the tax department, the ones that wanted to do it because it helped them out and made it more simple.
Oh, you remind me now. We may make it what the language said was the commissioner of tax can kind of fix anyone's current use application. We may make it a little narrower and make it clear it involves if you missed the deadline, something like that. That's a little tighter. That now you remind me, but not a big shift in the spirit, but perhaps narrowing the language to match what everybody has described as the problem.
And way back when that happened over on the House side, they put that in the bill. I told the senators that was a major error and that was just going to cause a lot of trouble and cost people a lot of money for no reason at all. And well, it's come home to haunt us now for 4 or 5 years, and finally we're going to address it. And Chris, I did get your note on 360.
Yeah.
And,
did that help?
Yeah. And I'm going to be reporting that as it came out of approach. And I almost voted against it because little Richie wouldn't really fess up about the tax deduction and what it was going to mean. But I sense that Jane explained it pretty well, and then I checked into it myself some, and then you sent that note. So it's a cost savings and not a handout.
Yeah, it only arises because it's actually a trick of ownership, where the CUDs are already tax exempt, but by the utilities owning and leasing back to the CUDs, they can get access to low interest loans. And so it seemed like a smart thing. It's only on broadband infrastructure. It's only forward looking. So
new stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I got to run.
Yeah, we've got to get on the floor. So thanks a lot, guys. And Brian, you'll take care of 434. And so Michael, want to thank you for all your work this session as well.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Really
As
appreciate
always.
your expertise. So
And
we'll
Linda,
see you on the floor in a few minutes.
Linda, we'd be lost without you. Thank you.
Amen.
Yeah.
Guys,
No one's
Yeah.
gonna Bobby in line.
We'll see you soon.
If something
soon.
weird, if something weird pops up, we'll call another meeting, but I think we're in good shape. So thanks, guys. See you later.
Take it easy.